As a hairstylist who owns multiple multi-million-dollar companies, in this podcast, I'm talking to hairstylists and salon owners who are ready to put in the work to build wealth. We are literally teaching stylists how to get results. We're getting them to get results on how to make more money behind the chair and to create their own empires. It's what you know that you don't know that you need to know in order to get to where you want to go. Because I understand now that in order for me to get to my targets and my big goals and be able to impact 500,000 stylists all over the world and 400 plus salon owners and helping them run an efficient business that they don't feel like they're babysitting anymore, that they feel like they know how to scale it because they have the right information. We get to touch this magic every day of giving people the confidence of hair, but truly it's how do we be more impactful and understanding. My name is Terra Harvell and this is the Terra Harvell Show.
All right, you guys, welcome to the Terra Harvell Show. I am so excited about my guest today. She is an absolute just trailblazer in this industry, and you're going to hear all about that. I have Kati Whitledge here, and she is a trailblazer in marketing for the beauty and wellness industry, which I'm so excited to hear more about. I know marketing is such a constraint for so many of us. And as a dynamic speaker, accomplished podcaster, and an author, she is the founder and CEO of Maya, a client recruitment and marketing platform for beauty and wellness professionals. Maya has actually matched over 500,000 consumers with beauty professionals, which I think is so interesting. I can't wait to hear more about that. And generated over 25 million in revenue for its partners. She has a goal of driving over $50 million in revenue to her partners by the end of 2026. So if you're not one of those partners, that's going to be a sad day. But Kati's on a mission to transform the way businesses are supported and thrive in the beauty and wellness space. So one thing I read in your bio is you're a no-nonsense leader. So I'm really excited to hear more about what that means and what you mean by that, because I think we will be on the same page. But yeah, I want you to start off, just tell us more about you and how you got in this industry and how you got to where you are today. Tell me the story.
Oh, Lord. Well, I started out as a hairstylist, and that's after years of effing up my life to a party lifestyle. I was a pastor's kid growing up, and that was like a rebellious stage for me. Like, truth be told, it was really a reflection of my feelings about myself, struggling with my appearance. So I was very athletic, very talented, but I was also very obese. So I struggled with obesity the majority of my life. And I think just not liking myself and having some insecurities around my appearance, it's just kind of come full circle to then join the beauty industry, because I felt like I always had the desire for beautiful things. I loved fashion and hair and never knew how to execute that for others. So it was my sister, when I kind of decided like, hey, this is not who God made me to be. I need to give up drinking and I need to give up drugs and all this crap with partying that comes with it, to focus on what could be my calling. And it was my sister who's like, I think that you should get into cosmetology. Like, you've always really told people like if they did this with their hair, it would look great. So I thought, well, why the heck not? And when I first kind of applied to be at a tech school for the cosmetology program, they had a wait list. And I thought, okay, well, what better way to get myself back on track and in shape than to join that same tech school for a group health club technician program. So before I even got into doing hair, I got into doing group fitness. And it also, getting into cosmetology, I wanted people to feel good in ways that I always wanted to feel good. And so I'll tell you, growing up as a hairstylist, I was never that great technically. I didn't bring top level master craft technical skills to the plate. But I was awesome at building relationships and closing sales, which closing sales means people took my recommendations when it came to products. They pre-booked their future appointments and they referred more friends and family to me. So there was something natural there. And the story kind of grew. After being a hairstylist for so many years, I, within the same salon, was able to rent my chair. That was actually her business model back then. And I started out in 2007. And so then it was like, oh my gosh, I'm almost in like a little cubicle space. So I would not have left that owner or the salon, because I love, to this day, I just had coffee with her the other week. We catch up probably twice a year. And so left on a great note, told her about my dreams. I said, there's just not the build out space here to grow. And so I started out with owning my own salon. And it was 750 square feet. Our break room was 115 square feet. And we grew that from a team of 2 to a team of over 19. And we made $1 million in 1150 square feet. We've gone through 4 expansions, multiple locations, and we're a 7-figure salon. So starting Maya, and where I kind of landed in this tech scene, was creating something that my own salon business desperately needed. And that was, at the end of the day, what we all need, which is to get clients and actually keep them coming back repeatedly. So
Yes.
there's a lot to it all, as you
Yeah.
know. There's always so much to the backstory, but that's really how it all came to.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive in and talk all about it because I think you really are solving a problem and that people truly have. And it goes back to what you said. I was good at, sales and closing deals. It's probably because you were solving problems for people back then as well. And so I'm excited to hear more about Maya and what you're building there and tell me how all of that got started because I also want them to get a touch of like entrepreneur spirit of you starting a new business that's brand new, honestly, to
Mm.
our space.
Yeah, it's interesting. I probably, if you would have asked me 5 years ago, do you see yourself as a tech founder in any capacity, I would be like, no, I'm a creative. I'm a thinker outside the box, and I never saw myself as smart and in those logical, analytical ways. And
Mhm.
so it's interesting that we've landed here, but Maya is created to be this tech software that automates the relationship process between a consumer and, imagine salon owners listening who have a team of stylists. Your number one mission is to fill the seats.
Yeah.
Filling the seats for everybody with clients is what breeds just positive energy, that positive culture. There's not a lot of room for negativity when everybody's focused on serving others. It's usually when we're alone in the break room or just have too much time on our hands that we're diving into social media, getting distracted. And where do we find ourselves? Usually on a track of complaining or negativity and seeing the have nots versus the haves. So this solves a world of problems, but also, it's our mission as salon owners to see our team be very, very successful. And it's
Mhm.
very hard if your team is burnt out because they're constantly seeing new people that just aren't a good fit.
Right.
So way back when we were developing Maya for our own salon, the big challenge was clients are calling.
Mhm.
And what do? It's all basically superficial. If they look on our website and they see the team members, I'm picking you based on looks. Like I kind of
Mhm.
feel like I like the way you look and I want to, isn't that interesting? And if that were to work, then why are the new client retention rates
So
across
bad.
our entire industry around 32%? This is terrible. And it
Wow.
means that superficial aspect of how we pick people to be our stylist isn't actually the thing that sticks. So what's going to bring sustainability? And I felt like I really love people. I love finding out what makes people tick and diving into personality styles and the psychology behind relationship building. And if I could get to the heart of who people are, and I know the team, I could really connect the two. And I thought at the beginning, oh gosh, if I could get on every single phone call,
Yeah.
I could identify the client and be like, now that I know a bit about you, I think you need to see this stylist or this stylist. They're going to be the best fits for you.
Yeah.
But I can't be on every single phone call, and neither can any of your operational team members. So, how do we solve this? And that's where I built this matchmaker. It started out just on our own website as a easy survey for people to fill out. And I built in disc personality profiling into it, love languages, lifestyle preferences, values, and of course the logistics. Look, if you're looking to get a bob haircut, we're not going to put you with somebody who just does barbering or
Mhm.
makeup, so there are basic logistics built in. But it's not linear. The algorithms are really special, and it's to identify, are we really making a match that will last? And it was a night and day difference for our team. We had
Yeah.
an over 80% increase in new client retention.
Wow.
And I was converting 7 out of 10 people when we first launched to new
Mhm.
clients. So for every 10 customers that came to our salon website, took our survey, 7 were coming in to do business. And I was like, this is crazy. Now, at the same time, I hire my first business coach because marketing is my jam, but cash flow forecasting is not. And I heard this gentleman speak at a business networking event, and I was like, whoa, this guy knows everything that I don't know. I need to hire him. And it was really scary because at the time, he was like, I charge $2,000 a month. And I wasn't making, I did not have a 7-figure salon back then. So I was like, can I even afford that? But I couldn't afford not to. I knew that if I was going to grow, I needed to be around him and make that investment. So I chose to hire him. He's through a company called Action Coach. So it wasn't even an industry coaching company, which I didn't know back then. There were industry coaching companies. So he just happened to be somebody I was around and intrigued by. And he was a very high D on the disc, which means he didn't give you any fluff or bull crap. He was just straightforward. And I wanted that. Just tell me the truth. Tell me what I don't want to. I don't need to talk about my feelings right now. I need to just go learn and do different things. So he was awesome. We scaled significantly our first year of working with him. We had an over 800% increase in profit, which is insane to even say out loud. But if I hadn't been on that path of working with him and learning how to truly become the owner of my business and not a technician within it or a manager within it, if I couldn't step away from being inside of the salon business, I would never have had a dream or even a thought to take Maya to North America. It wouldn't even have been on my radar. I would have kept it homegrown and just used it for us. But I was at this point where I was like, wow, the salon is really functioning without me in it. Now what do I do with my life? You know?
Yeah.
And so that's where this dream, like, those success magazines that used to be popular, inside of them, there used to be a CD you could pop into your CD player of your car. And I remember driving on a little vacation with my husband, and I said, no, one of the CDs was like, hey, what would be that big scary thing that you could do? If it scared the crap out of you, it's big enough dream. And
Yeah.
I looked at him and I was like, if we have a software company. And I just started writing everything down. I'm very kinesthetic, so I'm a handwritten person. And I just start writing everything down, all my ideas. It started out as a huge whopper, and I scaled it all the way down to being like, hey, step 1, let's
Yeah.
take what I used to call on my website, meet your stylist. Click here to take our short survey and see your top 3 matches at ours. And I turned that into this usable product. Started out with pilot salons, and kind of the rest grew from there. And I've just really been given a lot of grace to learn as I go and get better as I go.
Yeah, that is incredible. So a couple of things I want to go back a little bit that I heard you
Mhm.
say. Because I was, honored to be also on your podcast. So those of you guys that are listening, her podcast is called Beyond the Technique, and I was diving in the other day. You've interviewed some incredible people, so great job with that. But you and I both have something very in common. I know I talked about this on your podcast. You said, the coach that you hired was expensive, obviously. A lot of my audience knows my story where I literally wrote a check that took me down to zero for my mentorship. But you said the words, I couldn't afford not to. And that's sort of how I feel about the services, that even, Maya offers. Same thing, with Strata Salon Systems and Harper Ellis, we all offer something that adds value. And with marketing, this is where I think a lot of stylists don't understand that you can't afford not to invest in something that's going to help you with that. So talk more about, maybe even the time that you hired that mentor, but you paid for that service, and tell me about some results that some of these clients that you work with through Maya, what kind of results are they getting? Because that's what everyone cares about.
Yeah, let me just say that some of the most successful entrepreneurs ever have a big frickin' chip on their shoulder. They got something to prove, and they're relentless about proving it. And I think that was me, and I still struggle with that today. It's like, Lord, do I let this chip go, or or do I lean
Which,
into it as a form of like energy and drive?
Mhm.
So being a total screw up in my younger days, I had, when I first opened the salon, somebody say to me, you're never going to make it. You are never going to make it. It was somebody that I love a lot, and very close to me. And like when somebody says that, it cuts really deep. And I was like, that's why I knew I needed somebody who to be around that knew things I didn't know. And I couldn't afford not to because I actually believed like you're right. There's a part of you that believes like you're right if I don't change.
Yeah.
So if I do something about it, if I take action, if I learn and grow, you don't have to be right. And I can prove that I can do this. But if I don't change, you are right. So that was the driving force behind part of that. Like if I go deep, deep, deep into it. And
Yeah.
then, bringing Maya on, I have a salon and I love her so much. She had faith in me before I could prove it. And that is Shelly Neff. She's the founder of Urban Betty Salons in Austin, Texas. At the time, she only had one location. She still did multiple millions in revenue. And
Mhm.
she was one of my pilot salons. And to this day, we drive over 800 leads per month
Wow.
to her business. And okay, so if you think about an average 40% conversion rate, she is killing it, making
Yeah.
tons of money. And what does that help? It helps not just feed her current staff, but the minute you have somebody at 80% utilization or more, you need to be hiring, you shouldn't even be waiting for that long. You should be anticipating the next hire to grow them up. And that's how salons can really scale. What we're seeing, and Tara, I'm sure you're seeing this, is salons are kind of flatlining or in a decline. So
Mhm.
if you don't have a process or system in place to consistently grow, why grow the team if you don't have the clients to fill their seats? So it's kind of what comes first, the chicken or the egg. And it's really
Yeah.
important that you create that client demand, supply and demand. So this was
Yeah.
huge to see her success and the others. I started out with just 5 pilot salons and then we grew from there. We have over 10,000 providers in our system. So we have a lot of people that we're driving consumers to.
Mhm.
And now we're international. I've learned the pros and cons about doing that and the different currency exchange rates and like there's just so much you learn. You think something's simple and it's not simple. Everything's doable though. But
Yeah.
is it a good choice even if you can do it? So I've learned a lot, but our
Yeah.
primary group of owners is North America, so United States and Canada.
Yeah.
And that's our big mission is to help these salons scale, but also be sustainable because this is so painful to share. But in the last month, I've received 5 emails from owners. 4 of them closed their business, and
Mhm.
one of them had to take out a loan to cover payroll. And she does over 2.5 million in revenue already.
Mhm.
So things are not going beautifully, and
Mhm.
we need to support one another. And my
Yeah.
role in that is to help feed salons with great clients who appreciate you. They're going to spend the money, they're going to come back repeatedly. If we
Mhm.
don't get that piece of the puzzle right, that first impression, that first visit, they don't come back a second time. Consumers are as savage as we sometimes feel our team members can be. Like as owners, you
Yeah.
might feel like if I do one wrong thing, I'm judged and everybody will turn against me.
Yeah.
Consumer, what do you think they're like? Consumers are like, if I don't come in and this isn't, you're knocking it out of the park and I feel loved, supported, cared for, the values there financially, all of it, I'm not coming back to that salon anymore. And
Right.
nowadays, our competition isn't the great salon that's 4 miles away that also has a great reputation, training program, products, all that. Your competition is times 10 because of all the individuals who have left to do their own thing. Now, whether we see a boomerang effect of that or not, I don't know. I don't necessarily know if that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to actually see bigger changes with consumer buying behavior because of AI coming
Mhm.
in, but that's a whole different conversation for a different day.
Yeah.
That is our number one mission. We need to help get and keep clients with our community of partners that we work with.
Yeah. So I want to put in perspective kind of what you just said. Like you mentioned the salon, you bring in over 800 leads a month.
Leads.
Well,
Hmm.
if you only close not and that's 40% close is a great number, but say she closes 320 of those. Well, in the extension world, and I'm going off of a dream here. It's not a dream, it's reality in our world, but our annual value of a client is $7,000 a client. Well, that's $2.2 million right there in revenue. I would assume that you probably charge her a lot less than $2.2 million a month for this service, right?
Yeah. Our
It's
service is $500 or less. It's a starting point of $200 a month. Yeah,
right.
I know.
So there you go. So the question is, and this is where I get a little irritated with stylists and salon owners. It's because who would not trade $500 for $2.2 million, right? So let's just say you don't have all let's just say you don't have all extension clients. Let's just say you have color clients and that annual value is more like $2,500. Well, that's $800,000. We're not talking about that's just 1 month of leads. That's not 12 months of leads. Multiply that by 12. If you're only closing 40% of the leads that your company's bringing into these salons, that's a $10 million salon, guys. But the problem is it goes back to, and you said, is the struggle getting the right teammates in there that can do the job? Or is it to put clients in those people's chair when you actually master that? It's both. And if you're a real CEO over your salon, these are the levers that you have to pull in order to scale. And this is what, I love this is why I was so excited to have you on here because we kind of are the yin and the yang with what we do and specialize in. We help the salon build the right team because we have to scale through people, but there's those clients in the chair.
Yep.
You're gonna have a really hard time scaling and you're gonna have a lot of money out for payroll when you don't have clients in the chair. And so I wanted people to understand what you just said with that because that is a massive amount of money and a massive amount of leads. But if you're not chasing the leads like that, then that's probably not going to happen. And so I want to know, like what does the future of Maya look like and how, because I know you're constantly, if you can tell me, you're constantly probably innovating because I can see it. I can see it in you. I know exactly what your game is and exactly what you do. So what does that look like? You mentioned AI. We don't have to have all that conversation, but I want to know more about that.
Oh, well, AI is a huge game changer for us, and it's not going to be used in the little ways of Chat GPT and helping me write my social media posts. It's going to be how do I get my information and data as quickly as possible. I remember when you joined me I don't know if this was in in the show or if it was behind the scenes, you sharing like our point of sales need to give us so much more. We go to
Yeah.
pull a report and I have maybe 6 reports I can pull, and you're like, I want over 30
Yeah.
reports. Well, someday AI needs to just share with us any little thing we type in and give us the information. So there's a lot that needs to be expected from tech founders in our space. And we're
Yeah.
ready to rise and be that for them. There's going to be a lot more automation. So imagine the painful process of losing a team member. Well, how
Mhm.
about we automatically rematch and automate a nurture sequence to every single client that they've seen in the last year so that we can encourage the people who already are used to coming to your space to
Mhm.
continue to come back repeatedly. And
Right.
those are just a couple areas for growth,
Yeah.
but it's really going to come down to more nurturing and more automation and just more data, knowing the source of your top
Right.
leads. And it's the law of averages. I love that you like went to quantify what this means for salon owners, because if
Yeah.
you know that for every 1,000 clicks you get, you're going to do 200 new clients, then you just keep throwing fuel on that fire and you're going to keep seeing those numbers play out. And it can be that simple, but you have to know where your starting point is, and that's where we help on the marketing side is
Yeah.
seeing your data, understanding your numbers. The
Yeah.
back end dashboard of Maya is so insightful because let's say you want to open another location, you're going to
Mhm.
see where the majority of your traffic zip codes are coming from. So like if you're like, hey, if I open a spot within 5 mile radius of here, or if I want to go out a little further, where are the top zip codes coming from in my community? And you're going to be able to see that and be like, this is where people already are coming from. And we're not there. We're not over there yet. So let's go there next. um,
Right.
Seeing what new customers are saying their top
Mhm.
challenges are for their skin or their hair, how does that shift the way you communicate with all of your marketing, whether it be through your website or social media? So there's
Yeah.
just a lot of strategic ways that you can utilize the data that we're obtaining that no other platform in marketing is doing for salons right now.
Yeah, incredible. Absolutely incredible what you're building. One thing I want to hit on before I move, I want to hear about your no nonsense leadership because I know you're building teams. I always say I can't do what I do alone, and I know you feel likely the same way. But I want to hear about one thing before we move on. When a client comes in, you talked about how you're matching them through, disc assessments and love languages and all of those different things. And something that I hear a lot, because there's a lot of marketing gurus out there that is teaching, and I did air quotations, those of you that are listening, on podcasts, it's like build your dream avatar client. And I hate that whole storyline because if you don't match that person that you're building and dreaming about in your mind, they're not ever going to come sit in your chair. I got asked this in a class one time of ours, and I always repeat it because it's kind of funny. But the stylist said, "I have a question, Tara. How do I attract like luxury and someone that's expensive and wants to spend a bunch of money if I'm kind of like Coors Light?" That's what she said. And after I laughed and the whole class laughed, and I'm like, well, you can't be that because like attracts like. So tell me about kind of that theory because I love that. That's what you guys aren't just like testing someone based off their needs. No, it's like, who are you? Who is this stylist? That's the retention's gonna be there because like attracts like. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, the neuroscience behind it is called priming and conditioning. So we're actually priming the consumer to believe that they're going to have a positive outcome before they even visit. So
Yeah.
when they come in, unless you completely blow it and you come off like total catfishing them, they are going to be primed to be like, this is awesome. You're my match. And it's
Yeah.
interesting because one of the best forms of feedback we've gotten, and we've gotten this multiple times, is our stylists who say, I can tell when a Maya client sits in my chair. They know when somebody has been matched with them. There is a different feeling, and it softens their kind of defenses. When you're meeting somebody new, you are as insecure or have that anxiety about, are they going to trust me? Am I going to deliver for them? It eliminates the confirmation bias on both sides of the relationship. So that piece alone is magical.
Yeah.
But I will agree with you. I think just in general, you are who you hang out with. So if you want to attract luxury people, you got to go where they hang out,
Yeah.
which is not going to be at the townie bar down the street from where you live. It's
Yeah.
going to be in other places. And, maybe it is time to join that elite gym that you've been.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And this to me, and do you agree that this goes with leaders building their teams? If you want an elite, high performing team, then you've got to be that yourself, right? So, I think that's where a
Yep.
lot of people miss. They look around sometimes they're like, wait, why does my team act like this? I'm like, girl, or man, go take a long look in the mirror because, usually that's where it comes from. So I love that you guys do that. It's incredible. So
A
tell me about
great,
your
I'm going to
leadership.
just say this though, if you don't mind. A great book for every owner listening is called The Five Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. I'm probably destroying the last name, but one of the big things I see, and I'm guilty of this myself, and I'm trying to be better about it every single day, is one of the top reasons that salon owners struggle is what's called avoiding conflict. We want to make people happy. We want to see them where they're at. We want to be empathetic. We want to be their cheerleader. Um, I sometimes like, if people saw our home life on a reality TV show, they'd be like, damn, you are a savage mom. Like, I love my kids and I give them the world. And yet I have very high standards and expectations for them. And whenever they're anywhere else, people are like, your kids are so well behaved. They're a joy. This is awesome. And it's like, they better be like that because they know the consequences if they're not. Now, on the flip
Yeah.
side, when we're amongst our team, I think even though we're attracting high quality people, one of
Mhm.
our faults might be letting them off the hook. So either we are believing that our standards are here for a reason and we actually uphold and keep people accountable to that, or we're
Mhm.
consistently letting them off the hook.
Right.
Um, this is a whole thing. Like, if you don't let yourself off the hook, you don't have to let others off the hook. So
Yeah.
yes, I agree with you.
Absolutely. And there's this TikTok going around right now, and I love it. She's probably 10 years old. This little girl's playing basketball, shooting a free throw, and she airballs the shot, and someone from the stands goes airball, and then right after that, the person goes, "I'm her mom, don't worry." And I laugh so hard because I'm like, "That's me as a mother." It's like these are our standards. You should not have airballed that ball. And I just laugh because I think that is, if you really have standards, you have to withhold them or people don't believe you.
Yep.
Even if your core values are on the wall, and if you don't really like hold people to those things, they're not going to really think that that's true. So Tell me a little bit about your leadership journey and like building teams, your salon team, and I'm sure, how many, I don't know how many employees, Maya has. I'd love to learn more about that. But tell me a little bit about that and your journey with that.
Yeah, I think everything I've done, I've learned the hard way. Um, I used to be the leader who would literally call people out publicly. And everybody knows you praise in public and you critique in private. And I used to be very, and I think it's because I grew up playing sports. So even though I struggle with obesity, I was very athletic. I was always a starting player in every sport that I participated in. And I liked the coaches that would hand your rear end to you. And because I felt like they cared about our success, they wanted to see us be winners. And
Yeah.
so getting that, sort of love punch publicly was them caring. And I had to shift my mindset a little bit on that and have those conversations privately because I'll tell you, I've lost people along the way who felt that the way I treated them was not right. And so that's
Yeah.
painful. Yeah. So I think that would be one of my biggest leadership challenges. And then you go to the far flip side. Now you're so scared that you're going to offend people
Yeah.
that you don't speak up and say, hey, privately, this
Yeah.
can't continue. Now, I've gotten really, really good at that. It's taken practice and time, but being courageous and getting your own level of accountability. Usually, when you're leading something, who holds you accountable?
Right.
Not your spouse, because are you going to hand it back to them if they try to call you out? I've gotten really good at that too. Just really just absorbing and accepting feedback and not
Yeah.
getting defensive. So you have to be coachable even
Yeah.
when you're the coach, and
Right.
always get help with leadership because you have never arrived. If we want that in others, we have to be like that ourselves. So
Yeah.
who are you being led by right now? Who's holding you accountable?
Right, right. I absolutely love that. And I think I see this all the time because we teach, leadership through salon owners and they don't want to correct. They're afraid that they might lose someone. But I've learned, even recently in my businesses, even sometimes your top performers, if they don't meet the standards, the amount of revenue that they bring in is not worth, the headache that it could cause or you may be disrupting a whole other chunk of revenue that you're not seeing because this person isn't, following that. So what's your biggest tips for someone to approach those conversations and, to help them as far as, telling them, hey, this is a hard conversation, but this is not what we accept here and I need you to be better.
Yeah, asking for permission to get feedback
Mm.
or to give feedback and just hear from them. Where are you at with this? Here's what I'm noticing. And then using it sounds like, it seems like, it looks like. And I did not come up with that on my own. Chris Voss used to be an FBI agent, and he wrote a book called Never Split the Difference. And it's how to negotiate as if your life depended on it.
Wow.
And it's really how to soften the conversation so that people don't go on the defensive, but you're still opening up the space to get real feedback because change does not happen unless people are fully aware and take ownership that this is real. I actually do need to step up and be different.
Right.
I always come into relationships thinking like we have it like that. Like we're
Mhm.
so close or close enough where I can be real with you, you can be real with me. And I've learned the hard way that's not the case. And you
Mhm.
can't control if people are going to be offended by the truth or not. So
Right.
you can present facts over feelings and ask them to give you the
Yeah.
feedback. And we do that even with our reviews for everybody. We'll say, here are the facts of your performance. I want you to self reflect and review yourself. How do you feel you're doing based on these facts? So
Yeah.
that we try to get people to take just radical, because here's the thing, we all have radical ownership
Mhm.
over what we can
Right.
control.
Yeah.
And it's really our choice to step into that or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Also, a couple more questions for you. I know we're coming up on time, but I could have this conversation forever. What is one of the biggest, mindset shifts that you see salon owners need to make in order to scale and be successful?
That, oh gosh, I actually think this is partly from you too, that you can be successful anywhere. It doesn't matter on the size of the community that you're in, who
Yeah.
knows who. Leverage your strengths.
Hmm.
So while salon owners are going through hard times right now, many of them, their strengths are networking, communicating, building relationships. Put yourself back out there. When you were young and thirsty and just starting your salon, what were the things that you were relentless about and willing to do in order to see success? When you said to yourself that failure is not an option
Yeah.
and you need to go back to that, are you as thirsty? And I get it. It can feel like a hamster wheel. It can feel like insanity. Insanity is doing the same things and hoping for different results.
Hmm.
So if you don't have that thirst and that drive, you're probably not going to take action the way that you need to. So I would say the biggest mindset shift is no matter where you are, you can get after it if you choose to be relentless. Are you willing to do what others aren't willing or able to do? And if the answer
Yeah.
is yes, you will be
Yeah,
successful.
totally. Um, the data is, and I hate this data, but 97% of salons fail. And so I have a question. With knowing that data, do you think anyone could be a success story as a salon owner in this industry?
Yeah, and 99% of your problems are solved with great marketing. And
Yeah.
here's why. Marketing is communication and research. It's knowing your audience. And who is that? It's your customers and potential customers.
Yeah.
It's your team members and your potential team members. And you have to be consistently communicating with all four groups all the time, period. If you are doing that, you are going to see things continue to grow. If you're not, you're going to see declines in whatever area is getting neglected.
Right. Something I learned from my mentor, one of my mentors, Brandon Dawson, he owns, five, $600 million worth of businesses. But he says if your business is $3 million and less, your focus should be nothing but sales and marketing. Um, do you agree with that?
Yes.
Me too. Yeah. And I think we have salon owners sometimes in this industry that are really focused on the weeds. They're in the weeds. And even I teach processes and I teach, scaling through great processes and systems and structure. But if you don't have sales and marketing, even before that, I'm the first to tell you, you can't create a process. What are you going to create a process out of? You have no revenue coming in your business. So I love that you said that. So, in most salons, that's where they're at, zero, 0 to 3 million. So they should be reaching out to you and figuring out how to get hooked up with Maya and how they can get the leads inside of their business. Then they got to close those leads. So if you tell, well, we tell everybody, where can they find you and where can they get signed up with Maya and learn about all of that?
Yeah, Maya is MYA. So if you go to joinmaya.com, you can check everything out. Get a demo. Just get signed up for a virtual tour and the team will show you here's what it is, here's how it works. And then on Instagram, it's join underscore Maya, MYA. So I would love to
Awesome.
connect with the owners. And really, our sweet spot is working with owners that do over 500,000 in revenue with at least 6 stylists on the team. That's kind of a baseline and
Mhm.
upwards from there. So there are some pre-qualifications, and part of that is just the success of the brand and brand awareness that you have. We take and leverage what already exists and convert that into clients for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And it's just been an honor to chat with you. And I can't wait for my audience to hear from you.
Same.
Absolutely. Go follow you, all the things. I hope I am going to be able to see you this year at some events. And just thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.